What is up, my beautiful people of YouTube? Man, what some sad news in a crazy world we live in. And we're going to be discussing the assassination of Charlie Kirk that happened today at the University of Utah while he was doing a public speak where he was debating young college students on different things, and shots rang out. Well, one shot and hit the man in the throat. It is one of the most brutal things I have ever saw in my life. And this is one of those things, after you see it, there's no taking it back. Horrible. This man was a father. There is so much hate in our world. You know, here on Dolly Vision, we do not discuss politics. We're not about dividing people whatsoever. You know, I end my show every night with, if nobody else loves you, Dolly does. And I don't care if what race you are, what sexuality you are, what your age is, who you are, you should be loved in this world. And if nobody else loves you, Dolly does. But there is still a lot of hate going on in this world we live in. And I lost a little bit of hope for humanity after I saw what I saw today. But before I get too far into it and we go over the latest news and what's going on in the case, I want you guys to take a second and like the video. Even though it's a tragedy, I know, still like the video. It helps us in the algorithm. It helps new people see the channel. Definitely, if you're out there watching and if you haven't, sub up, ring the bell for notifications, and of course, feel free to share my ugly face. Now, listen, I may be ugly, but I love everybody, okay? And I don't want to see anybody lose their life because of their opinions. So definitely, if you're watching out there, sub up, ring the bell. You're always welcome here, no matter who you are. Unless you're a troll, then we're going to boot the shit out of you, okay? But anybody else, you're more than welcome to be here and discuss what is going on. As long as you can do it in a respectful manner as a grown-up. We don't have a bunch of little kids here on this channel. So tonight, I expect everybody in the chat, in the side chat, to be respectful. We're talking about a human life. We're talking about a father. We're talking about somebody's brother, someone's loved one that has tragically lost their life senselessly, right? No reason in this world should anybody be shot for their opinion, okay? Now, I want to give my warnings. Dolly Vision's for entertainment purposes only. We talk news, rumors, gossip, speculation, theories, mixed with a little bit of comedy and a whole lot of chaos. So don't take nothing as fact. It's just my opinion, people. Completely satire. And don't shoot me for my opinion, okay? You know, I always joke about people stabbing me in the neck over my opinion. But what I seen today really scared me because, you know, here's the thing. Anybody in our country that has a voice or a voice that people listen to, they're always assassinated. They're always assassinated. Look, Martin Luther King, John F. Kennedy. If you have a voice in this world, somebody will want to silence that voice. They don't want your opinion. They don't want to hear it. They don't agree with it. And they take matters into their own hands, which makes this world we live in a scary place for anybody that sits behind a microphone. Now, I never know who's watching me, you know, when I'm joking and playing. I don't know if I'm going to piss somebody off one day and somebody's going to come up to me and be violent. I have had people already since I've been on YouTube, these 4 years, come up to me and call me all kinds of bad names. Didn't shoot me or didn't stab me in the neck. Yes, rest in peace to that man. I know he had some controversial opinions on certain things. Now, I didn't agree with everything this man said. Let me clear that up, right? Every side of politics has extreme people in it, you know, no matter if you're on the right or you're on the left. And I don't want to make that about this tonight. I want to make this about somebody that is out there that is a monster that took this man's life. Okay. And that person is still on the loose. Now, the FBI has arrested somebody, a person of interest, but they're not saying this is the shooter. They're not saying they recovered the weapon. And at this time, it appears that the killer of Charlie Kirk is still on the loose. Now, we're going to go over this press conference because there was someone arrested. Actually, two people. One was an older man who was later released, had nothing to do with the shooting. And people jumped to such quick conclusions on the internet that they were posting this older man's photo and they were saying he needs to be unalived and he's scumbag and he's this and he's that. And this wasn't even the person that did it. This person was released. He was just at the wrong place at the wrong time. But he hasn't been released. He's been booked into jail, as a matter of fact. Okay, but he's not the killer, but he was booked for obstruction of justice. Now, I don't know what's going on here, but they need to let that little old ass man out of jail. Okay, I don't know how y'all got to mix up and tackle this man to the ground. You'd be lucky if he don't sue the shit out of you for grabbing the wrong person. But in the chaos, they had what they say is 6 officers patrolling this area of 3,000 people. Okay, 6 officers for 3,000 people. Okay, the second person got released. I don't know if that's is factual yet. I haven't heard that. Bill Cosby. Okay, I like your name. That's a good name. I haven't heard that, but we're going to be going through the latest news and information on it. I do know that they took a second person into custody, a person of interest, but they wasn't saying if this was the shooter or not. But apparently, this shooter was able to get off one shot from a good range and strike Charlie right in the neck. And I don't know what's with social media and allowing these videos to run, right? I guess people just grabbed it early and they're letting it go. The full shooting is on Facebook. Everybody's posting it. Everybody's posting it. I couldn't believe it. I just could not believe it. I couldn't believe it when I was watching it. And he had just said something about, mass shooters in our country and a lot of them being of a certain sexual orientation, right? And he was asked about guns and the killings, and he was like, are you talking gang violence? And he sets the mic down, and as soon as he gets that out his mouth, a shot rings out, strikes him dead in the artery of the neck. And I mean, blood literally exploded out of his neck. Guys, I'm sorry I'm being so graphic, but I'm sure by this time, most of you have seen this video. It's all over the news. It's all over social media. When that person pulled that trigger, did he realize that man was a father? He had people that loved him, that cared about him. And listen, there's a lot of people I don't agree with in this world. And I'm not on no rooftop looking at you through a scope because I disagree with you. Now, whoever's done this has got to have some mental health problems. Utah has the death penalty. So whoever this is out there, if you're watching, you are going to pay with your life. Charlie's not going to be the last person meeting his creator. Okay? Because you're going to be right behind Charlie, right? You're going to be right behind him. And this should never happen. When you're this controversial, Elizabeth, thank you for joining. When you're this controversial, right? Listen, they say Dolly's controversial. They say I'm controversial. They wouldn't even let me on CrimeCon this year. They said, Dolly, you're too damn controversial. Now, I don't see me as being that controversial. But then again, I am not a public speaker. I speak behind the camera. Now, when you're out in public and you're that controversial, and you know people go there just to argue, just to fight. Some people say debate, but some of these people that come up to the mic in his outings are pretty hateful, and they really don't like him. And they show up because they don't like this man and his views, and they want to confront him. Okay. Now, there's some rumors going around on Facebook, and let me tell you, this is just rumors, but I've seen some screenshots of people that seem like they knew what was going to happen before it happened. Now, listen, I'm not a strong believer in psychics, and these people on YouTube just knew something bad was going to happen there. But it's been posted. Now, I'm not going to go into the conspiracy end of all this, all right? Because we're not a conspiracy channel. We're not a political channel. What we are is a true crime channel. So we're going to stick to the crime element of this, because right now there is a killer on the loose. Now, of course, the police and the FBI were saying this is a targeted attack, that nobody else is in danger. They just wanted Charlie Kirk dead because of his views and his political stance. You know, the mayor came out and said that this was a political assassination. What is going on with all these crazy people with weapons? Okay, we just seen somebody try to assassinate our president that we have now. Now, listen, I don't care what side of the fence you on. You shouldn't be celebrating the death of anybody. There's a couple things you don't wish on people, because when you do, it comes back on you. You never wish death on a person. Now, listen, if I disagree with you, I just disagree with you. I think, well, your opinion stinks. And if your opinion stinks, I wouldn't really even listen to your opinion if it didn't align with my morals, my values, and my views. Okay? I wouldn't pay you no mind. You're just another sucker in this world full of suckers, right? So why would I give you that energy? Okay? There's a lot of people I don't agree with that I can listen to. I will listen to you. I will hear your argument. But that don't mean I'm going to agree with you. Now, there may have been things that Charlie said that I did agree with. But then again, there was a lot of things he said that I didn't agree with. And what people think in this political world that we live in, they believe that all people on the right have the same views as this man that is on the right. And that's not true. Everybody has their own individual views and morals and values, and sometimes they align with other people and sometimes they absolutely don't. It don't matter if we all voted for Donald Trump. Okay, that don't mean we agree with everything this man said. We absolutely don't. All Republicans, all people on the right are not the same. And all people on the left are not bad. All of them are not killers. Okay. There's extreme people on both sides of the aisle. Now, these people, it's like if you have a bunch of apples, you get one bad apple, it'll spoil the whole bunch. Or people are starting to think the whole bunch is a bunch of rotten ass people. What it is we have crazy people in this world. I don't know if it really has to do with a right and a left or Republican, Democrat, as it does, you're a damn mental case and you need to be locked in a padded room and you shouldn't be around a weapon. So tonight, no matter what side the fence on, I say a little prayer for his family. If you like this man, if you didn't like this man, never wish death on a person. There's people out there right now saying he deserved this. He deserved it. That is crazy to even hear people say things like that. Nobody deserves that for their opinion. Okay? Even if your opinion completely sucks. You know, sometimes my opinions don't align with everybody. You may say, Dolly, your opinion damn sucks. Karen Reed's innocent, right? Does that mean that I need to be hurt because of those views? Or No, no, like just like that. I'm a father. He's a father. There's people that love and care about him. And they dropped the ball far as security. When you're as controversial as this man, as rich as this man, why is there no bulletproof glass to stop this? Is this a lone like crazy person, or is this a complete assassination by people that may be a little higher up than just your regular average Joe? Whoever it was a wicked good shot. Now, watching it and watching how far away the shot from the rooftop came, you would think this is somebody that is well trained sniper. Okay. Now, there's been snipers throughout history. Some of our best U.S. snipers haven't made shots that good. Okay. I don't remember if y'all remember the guy who shot David Koresh. He was a sniper. He had over 111 kills as a U.S. sniper, and he missed. Okay. From closer, way closer, and missed and shot David Koresh in the stomach. Does anybody remember that, Waco? Okay. I ain't going too far in the conspiracy realm of this, but I just want you to know how good of a shot that was for, somebody that's familiar with weapons. It's a pretty long range shot. Also, anybody remember Ruby Ridge? The same sniper that missed David Koresh also shot at the person at Ruby Ridge and shot his wife in the head when he was running in the house. The wife opened the door and was struck in the head, but the bullet was meant for the husband. Same sniper. Missed 2 shots. Probably 2 of the biggest shots in American history as far as that world or that realm of things. And both shots were a miss. So this person who shot this shot was a good shot. I doubt that this person is some college student. Whoever this was, I feel like they're going to have some sort of military training. Yes, moving targets are hard to hit, Army vet says. The moving targets, you got to be on it. You got to kind of guesstimate their next move, right? You got to be a little bit ahead of them and know they're going to run right slap into that bullet. And Charlie was sitting still. He was a stationary target, a soft target, and with very little security. 6 police officers. Well, he did have his security detail with him out there. Okay. He had his detail out with him. And it's the same security detail that travels this country. And for a lot of this, people get out there and argue and scream, but nobody's really ever tried to assassinate him. But listen, there's always a first for everything. And we know the climate of this world that we live in is getting a little crazy. And these people are starting to push their views on you with force. Okay. Now, I'm old school. I don't have no problem telling you that, right? My views are pretty set the way my views are going to be until they put me in the ground, right? It's kind of hard to teach an old dog new tricks. I believe what I believe, and it is what it is. Now, do I respect everybody? Yes. Are you going to force me to respect you? No, I do it because I love everybody. I'm respectful to everybody. I try to be anyway. I'm still hold the door open for people. How you doing? Nice to meet you. Those types of things. Putting this together. Okay. Yes, there's a lot of hate. Listen, and I want you guys to be really respectful in the chat room. Okay. I know this ain't usually something we discuss, right? So I want you guys to try to get along, even if you have different views. Listen, it's okay to have different views in this world. We're here to discuss those different views. We're not here to fight with each other. We're grown-ups. We're not heathens. We're not corner thugs. We're good people, right? And if you're here and you're a good person, then you found the right place. If and like I said, I don't care what side of the political fence you're on. I love everybody here, right? Even if your opinion is completely different than mine, right? Then I'll just agree to disagree with you. I don't gotta hate you. I don't gotta belittle you. I don't have to talk to you like you're stupid, right? Because if you have any type of intelligence, you should be able to get along and discuss anything with anybody without raising your voice, without name calling, without pointing and blaming people, right? That just shows if you're doing things like that, that you might be a little bit of an idiot, okay? Or you may be a little lower on the intelligent level. Um, no reason to eliminate. Thank you, Dr. Latina. And listen, we're all brothers and sisters on this planet. We're all trying to get to the same place. I believe we all want the same things. We just have a different view of how to get that. Okay. We just have a different view of how we want to reach that goal because everybody wants to be happy. They want to be successful. They want to be able to live, feed their families, take care of everybody. I think everybody wants the same things in this world. We just have different views of how we're going to get there. Okay. So now we're going to jump over to this press conference. And I just want to, share my thoughts with you guys because I truly believe this is a tragedy that didn't need to happen. Right. What needs to happen in our world, in our country, is open discussion. And this is what he was willing to do. You could have went out there and argued your point with this man and he would have listened to you and he would have gave his point back, right? But everybody had the opportunity to discuss these topics in a civilized, intelligent manner. And there was one person out there that didn't want to do things that way and has shocked the country with their actions. And it's been a lot lately, guys. It's been a lot of things that are on this, a lot of political tension in our world. And a lot of times politics are blamed in this, even with the girl in North Carolina that was brutally stabbed on the train. Some of these things I've been seeing in the last few days, and a lot of these things I don't touch on because of the political nature of it. And I don't want people to get in a room and fight because I believe truly that politics divide people. And if nothing more, we need to come together and love each other in this world. I truly believe that. How will that magically happen? Hell no. I don't live in a fantasy world. I know I can't tell everybody to get along and it's just going to magically work. I wish it would, like unicorns and rainbows. It just don't happen like that. I don't really know the solution. I just know things are a little bit effed up. And the crimes are getting more and more brutal. Gifted $10 Vision memberships. Thank you, Dr. Latino, and thank you for being here with us. And I'm sure your years of being a doctor, you've probably seen some horrible things. And listen, I couldn't imagine being the people in the front to see that. I mean, just watching it on the internet, it hurt me. It took a piece of my soul away. I never knew Charlie Kirk, right? I mean, I knew he was controversial and I knew what his views were on certain things, not on everything. But I didn't even think about the controversial things he said. When I seen this man laying there grabbing his throat, I thought about his family. I thought about his kids. That they have to watch this. It's on the internet. His kids will grow up and see their dad assassinated. Like something no wife or kids should ever have to see. You don't even see stuff like that coming from Iraq or Afghanistan but it was just so openly, like they don't censor anything anymore. Like, does it desensitize people to the point to where you're not even shocked by seeing it? Like I still was shocked. I was when I watched that man stab that girl on the train, it hurt my heart. Just no reason, right? And then when I seen Charlie Kirk shot for no reason, I mean, of course somebody was mad at him. I mean, that's That's a little tiny bit different than just a random attack on an innocent person that's just sitting there minding their own business. And nobody helped, right? Nobody helped. Look at the world we live in. Well, could you stand by and watch somebody stab a girl and walk around and be like, I stabbed her, right? He said some other racist things other than that under his voice. But could you just stand by and watch that and do nothing? Now, I'm sure people were like, well, I don't want to get stabbed. But nobody did nothing to help that young lady on that train. And then the whole situation with this, even though that may have just been a crazy person, right? Even though that may have just been a crazy person on the train, it instantly was turned into a political situation. When really, to me, it's a nutcase that our justice system has failed. And it's continuing to fail worse and worse. Like this guy that stabbed this girl, he should have been a long time ago in loony bin. He should have been locked up. He shouldn't have been out to stab this girl at all, right? Just like we've been covering the case of Emmanuel Haro with his father, Jake Haro, where the justice system has failed society, where they're letting these bad people out of jail, and then these people go on to do something horrible. Now, like I said, there hasn't been no arrest made. Well, there has been an arrest, but there is nobody arrested at this present time for the assassination. And don't get me wrong, this was an assassination, just like the mayor said. It was a political assassination. And this may be bigger than we even know, right? Than we even know. Or it could be something just as crazy as a mad college student that did not like his views. All right. So let's jump into the press conference, or I'll talk forever. You know how I do. I got a lot to say.
Hello, everyone. I'm Bo Mason, Commissioner for the Utah Department of Public Safety. Today at approximately 12:20 Mountain Standard Time, political influencer Charlie Kirk was shot in an event at the Utah Valley University. He was taken by a private vehicle to Timpanogos Hospital, where he later passed.
Now, I will have to say this. If for anybody who has seen the video, Charlie Kirk, he was dead almost instantly. And I want to think that it wasn't a very painful death, and people may disagree with that, right? But he bled so fast that he went unconscious in a matter of seconds, okay? So time he realized what was going on, he was already going limp, okay? And y'all seen that. And for anybody that he was carried to the hospital on a private vehicle, there is videos that have emerged of him being ran to a SUV, pouring blood, completely limp, right? So I think he was gone pretty much by the time they got him to that vehicle. Sad as that is to say, he didn't really have a fighting chance because he was struck in a major artery in his neck. He was pretty much shot in the jugular.
Oh, yeah.
It one of the most brutal things I have ever seen. And I've seen a lot of bad stuff.
The Utah Department of Public Safety will be co-leading this criminal investigation to find this killer, along with the Federal Bureau of Investigation. We are working in unison with the County Sheriff's Office, the local police department, and the University Police Department, all of which have been very cooperative and fully engaged in this process. Shortly after the shooting, we did have a suspect in custody, George Zinn, but he was released from custody after we identified that he did not match the shooting suspect and was not an accurate person of interest. However, he has been booked into the county jail by Utah Valley University Police Department for obstruction of justice.
You know, because he probably fought when they were trying to arrest him. Like, you know, if you're innocent of something and somebody's trying to arrest you, you're going to put up a little bit of a struggle because you feel like you didn't do anything, right? And you're being harassed. So I would say, you know, y'all made a mistake, and the old man should have probably just went along with it, but he didn't. You know, he put up a little bit of a struggle. But I believe that man should be released. And Dolly, is this domestic terrorism? Absolutely. Absolutely it is. And this is a person, like, I hate to get into this. Like, remember the DC sniper, Muhammad? Y'all remember that guy in Malvo? Well, he was executed here in Virginia. But he did most of the shootings in the Maryland, D.C. area. But the reason they brought him to Virginia is so we would execute him. And we did. We executed. Malvo got overturned, but Muhammad was executed in a little over 3 years, which is pretty quick for execution. People that do these types of crimes, they don't need to sit on death row for the next 20 years. They don't need to be in the jail with 100 million appeals. And they need to be, once they're found guilty, they need to be taken out back, lined up for the firing squad, and be done with it. Because, and if you don't do things like this, then these people are watching this, and maybe they'll do these same similar things. They'll think this is the answer. This is how we silence people in this world. Well, you may have silenced him, but your voice is going to be silenced also. I believe we need to execute these people swiftly. We need to do it publicly. And this will maybe, hopefully, stop other people from committing such heinous crimes. And yes, 9/11 is tomorrow, okay? And just 30 minutes from one of the worst tragedies in our country. September is just a bad month for tragedy, let me tell you.
We do still have an active investigation for the person of interest. This incident occurred with a large crowd around. There was one shot fired and one victim. While the suspect is at large, we believe this was a targeted attack towards one individual. This is a tragic moment in our state and in our country. As we heal, we encourage everyone who is struggling with news of the incident to call 988, our state mental health crisis line. In addition to that, our partners with the FBI will also be discussing other ways we can communicate through the public for tips and other information. Thank you.
Good afternoon. On behalf of the FBI, we extend our sincerest condolences to the family and friends of Charlie Kirk. Our thoughts are also with the people who witnessed this traumatic event. We know that what you experienced was very difficult. Our thoughts are with you as well. As soon as we heard about the shooting, special agents and personnel from the Salt Lake field office responded immediately. We have full resources devoted to this investigation, including tactical, operational, investigative, and intelligence. To be clear, the FBI will fully support and co-lead this investigation alongside with our partners. We are working on setting up a digital media tip line, and as soon as it's established, we'll get that information out to everyone. I know there's a lot of questions. This is very much an active case, and this investigation is in its early stages. We are following all the leads and all the evidence. If anyone has any information, please report it to the FBI or local law enforcement. Thank you.
On behalf of President Jimenez, who we've been communicating with, and she's on her way back right now, I say that on behalf of Utah Valley University, we are shocked and saddened by the tragic passing of Charlie Kirk. We express our sincere condolences to the Kirk family. We grieve with our students, faculty, and staff who bore witness to this unspeakable tragedy. He was invited by the student group Turning Point USA to speak on our campus. We firmly believe that UVU is a place to share ideas and to debate openly and respectfully. Any attempt to infringe on those rights has no place here. We do not condone any form of violence at UVU and seek to make our campus a safe place for all.
Well, better security. Listen, it ain't about really pointing the finger right now. They should have had more security on that campus. You know, there should have been checkpoints that people had to go through. You know, I know he's not a presidential candidate, but, you know, we had a sniper nest. You would think if you're a controversial figure in this country that there would have been someone on the roof. Okay, if you remember in Pennsylvania when they tried to assassinate our president that we have now, Donald Trump, that the Secret Service had somebody on the roof, a counter sniper out there, and was able to swiftly take out the target that fired at the now president. Why was there nobody on these roofs of these buildings overlooking it? Not local authorities, not any of his security detail. How good is his detail if they did not clear these areas or have a spot or like a lookout, okay, from a high vantage point to where they could see everything and radio in if there was somebody on a rooftop? Now, there's images out there that clearly show a person crouched down wearing all black on a rooftop. Okay, this shot wasn't fired from the crowd. This shot was fired from a rooftop, which means this is a premeditated attack on this man. This was planned. This was carried out, and it was a successful attack. Now, like I said, people on the internet in a certain community, so I'm going to say, seemed like they knew something was going to happen. Now, is this just wishful thinking because they don't like this guy? Or did they already know something ahead of time? That is the $1 million question. And it was kind of odd that at the moment he was shot, he was talking about this gun violence in our country and these shooters, and he was shot. I just, for some reason, I'm not big on coincidences, right? I don't really believe in coincidences. Like, I believe this was carried out by more than one person. That's just my opinion. I believe there was people that may have been tipped off to something was going to happen. Or we got some damn college psychics at that university. And I ain't big on believing people can see the future. I just ain't. So it kind of sketched me out a little bit. And if you knew something was going to happen like this and you let it happen, you're just as responsible as the person who done it.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us on this dark and tragic occasion. I want to thank our law enforcement officers who are leading this investigation, starting with Chief Long and his response here with the UVU Police Department. We're grateful for your leadership and your team. And again, to the speakers that you've just heard from who are co-leading this investigation. I also want to recognize Sheriff Mike Smith, who has been an invaluable partner as this investigation moves forward. I've been in touch with President Trump, with FBI Director Kash Patel. We are completely aligned with our state and federal partners as we work through this case. Now, this is a dark day for our state.
Oh, I'm not trying to make this, trust me at all, because Tracy, I am not a conspiracy channel. But what I do speak is facts. Okay? Not to try to turn this into a conspiracy. I'm sure there's channels out here that will dissect every little single bit of this. right? But I'm just telling you my opinion from watching it myself and being here with you and sharing what I think. Okay. Like I had no agenda here, right? I have no agenda to turn it into something that's not. We all watch what happened. Okay. By this point, most of y'all have seen the video or at least are familiar with what is going on here. Okay. Because it's already 12 o'clock at night. This happened earlier today. And trust me, it's been everywhere on social media. So if you're just tuning in and you ain't heard about this one, you really need to get out and touch grass a little bit. All right. Because everybody in America knows about this already. Right. So I know I'm not the first one to bring it, but yeah, it's just odd. I'm going to say that. I'm not saying there's some big conspiracy around it. I'm saying it's odd. The timing of his shot was weird, and it was an awful good shot. That's all I'm going to say.
It's a tragic day for our nation. And I want to be very clear that this is a political assassination. We are celebrating 250 years of the founding of this great nation. That founding document, the Declaration of Independence, that this great experiment on which we embarked together 250 years ago, that we are endowed by our Creator with certain unalienable rights. The first one of those is life. And today...
No, Tracy, you didn't offend me, not at all. Like I said, I'm an adult. If even if you said something I didn't agree with, it don't offend me. I don't get offended easily. Now I do get upset when I see tragedy like this and people dying senselessly. That really upsets, hurts my heart. Now, am I mad at anybody? No, I'm not mad at each other. I don't go to sleep with hate in my heart at night. I love everybody all the same. Some of you fuckers are just dysfunctional. You know, it's like a big family, and some of you ate lead chips as a baby, right? That's how I look at it. But I still love you the same, you know? Just like people have crazy family members. We love our family, even the crazy ones, right? So, you know, I don't take nothing anybody says to heart anyway. When you say it about me, I can take it. I got pretty tough skin.
A life was taken. Charlie Kirk was first and foremost a husband and a dad to two young children.
You still eat paint chips?
He was also very much politically involved, and that's why he was here on campus. Charlie believed in the power of free speech and debate to shape ideas and to persuade people.
And that's what I do here. That's why I have them open discussions. I get up here and I debate with people publicly, you know, about difference in our opinions and things like that. And usually I encourage people that disagree with me to call in because I like a good debate. I like a good, intelligent discussion. Now, if anybody that has an open mind, I don't mind talking to. But when you've come to a conclusion and there's no change in that, no matter if the evidence points in a different direction, then I can't really discuss with you, right? Then it's just me talking to you and it's not really a discussion. I think it takes two people to have a good discussion.
Historically, our university campuses in this nation and here in the state of Utah have been the place where truth and ideas are formulated and debated. And that's what he does. He comes on college campuses and he debates.
Esther, I seen that. Okay, I seen that. I'm not going to go into that because, you know, I just don't really want to get into that. Not really a good thing. Cobra Kai, good to see you. Thank you for your sticker. But I did see that, and I've seen people that acted like they knew something bad was going to happen today. And was it just them foreshadowing, or did they really know something? But either way, this man should not have lost his life today over his opinion. And I don't care if his opinion smelled just like straight booty hole and he was wrong about everything. It still does not give anybody the right to hurt that man, do anything to that man. You could have got up there and debated with that man and told him he was stupid and he's ignorant and he don't know and he thinks he knows everything. No reason to hurt him.
That is foundational to the formation of our country, to our most basic constitutional rights. And when someone takes the life of a person because of their ideas or their ideals, then that very constitutional foundation is threatened. Now, we have a person of interest in custody. The investigation is ongoing. But I want to make it crystal clear right now to whoever did this, we will find you.
Yes, we will.
We will try you. And we will hold you accountable to the furthest extent of the law. And I just want to remind people that we still have the death penalty here in the state of Utah.
Now, anytime you commit a crime this heinous, right? Any state, I don't care where you're at, if you're in damn Alaska, the death penalty should be a federal law. It should be national. We don't live in individual countries. We live in the United States of America. America is one place. Okay, I'm tired of these invisible walls where you know, whatever laws I have to abide by here in the state of Virginia is where I'm broadcasting from, should be the laws across the land. Okay, every law should be exactly the same. As an American, you shouldn't be charged with no crime that I can't be charged with. I just don't think it's right. Okay, now, since I told you where we're broadcasting from, I want you guys to take a second, like this video before we get further into this press conference and more into this case. I want you to like the video, and then I want you to shout out in the chat room where you're watching from. It's time to represent your city, your town, your hood, okay? Let's see how many people we have from Utah in the chat tonight. Just a bad day. You know, it was kind of gloomy here in Virginia today, rainy, and then just tragedy. And, you know, like I said, I almost wish I hadn't seen the video.
Did you notice man standing behind him touched brim of his white hat then ear, immediately shot was fired. He was with him in recording. Bless this country we live in, praying gesture emoji.
Now, I haven't went through and broke down every little detail of the video. Okay. I was just so shocked, Army Mom, by what I seen. Like, you thinking he's going to get shot and he's just going to fall. It was like, what? Listen, I'm a big fan of gore movies and horror movies. For anybody that's been watching Dolly for a long time, you know I collect horror stuff, life size, Freddy Krueger's and Texas Chainsaw Massacre and Michael Myers, Jason Voorhees. And, you know, I watch all these B-flick horror movies, slasher films, and gore movies like Terrifier. But nothing is quite like seeing the real thing, okay? Nothing really prepares you for watching what had happened. Like, you know, we watched the tragedy of the girl in Carolina on a train, right? There was very little blood. Like, you couldn't even really tell she'd been stabbed till she fell out the seat and you could see the blood in the seat, right? And it was so quick. But with Charlie Kirk, when he was struck in the front of his neck, and blood just, I don't want to be graphic, but it's like I said, you don't even see this in gore movies. It was horrific. Like, it is like, movies are not like the real thing. Okay. When you see the real thing and how he instantly he went limp and he just crumbled to the ground, I knew when I seen the video, I knew he wasn't going to make it. Right. So, they rushed him to the hospital. Of course, they said he died at the hospital. I don't think he ever made it to the hospital. I think it was fast and if you are going to go out of this world, you don't want to suffer. Right. And if I could say one thing to his family is he didn't suffer. It was so fast. And, before he really knew what was going on, he was already going unconscious. And that's how much blood he lost almost instantly. And that's because it severed a major artery in his neck. And if you don't have oxygen to your brain, you're going to go out. And basically that's what he did. He crumbled in less than 2 seconds. He was completely limp. Horrible, horrible situation.
Our nation is broken. We've had
Thank you, Penny.
political assassinations recently in Minnesota. We had an attempted assassination on the governor of Pennsylvania. And we had an attempted assassination on a presidential candidate. And
Super sad day today. There was a school tragedy in Denver, Colorado too.
Yeah, I had seen that on the news. I haven't had really a chance to check it out. I had been doing a lot of moving and rearranging today. So I was in and out the house a lot. So I haven't got to see everything that went on. But, instantly when this happened, my phone blew up, right? And thank you for everybody that hit me up. And everybody was like, you see the video? You see the video? You see the video? And of course I knew I had heard the report of what had happened. And I was thinking, oh my God, with all these people here, probably 1,000 people filmed the shooting of this man. Hey Vibe, good to see you. And then of course, soon as I opened up social media, Facebook, and usually Facebook's not bad about showing brutal things. Now, X, of course, they don't censor as much on X, old Twitter. So you usually see some pretty wild shit up there, but not on Facebook. And soon as I cut on Facebook, I mean, it's all over the place on Facebook. Nothing's being censored. They're not taking the videos down. People are sharing it. And I think it's important that people see this. Okay. And people should be pissed off. They should be mad. They should be shocked. That's a good sign because, people have been getting desensitized to the violence in our world and they're not shocked by it anymore. It takes something really wild to pretty much shock you, and it shouldn't. All crime should be shocking. It's 2025. We should live in a civilized world, and we don't. There's just we don't take mental health seriously. We don't take threats by these crazy people seriously, and we only react when something bad happens. We're not proactive. We're more on the defense than the offense. And I think we should be on the offense more, helping people with mental health, and when people are a threat, making sure they don't have weapons. But no, we're just playing defense. Once something bad happens, then we try to do something about it. Right? But why anybody do anything about it before it happens?
former president of the United States and now current president of the United States. Nothing I say can unite us as a country. Nothing I can say right now can fix what is broken. Nothing I can say can bring back Charlie Kirk. Our hearts are broken. We mourn with his wife, his children, his family, his friends. We mourn as a nation. If anyone in the sound of my voice celebrated even a little bit at the news of this shooting, I would beg you to look in the mirror
Amen to that.
and to see if you can find a better angel in there somewhere. I don't care what his politics are. I care that he was an American. We desperately need our country. We desperately need leaders in our country. But more than the leaders, we just need every single person in this country to think about where we are and where we want to be. To ask ourselves, is this it? Is this what 250 years has wrought on us? I pray that that's not the case. I pray that those who hated what Charlie Kirk stood for will put down their social media and their pens and pray for his family.
Amen.
And that all of us will try to find a way to stop hating our fellow Americans. With that, we're happy to take a few questions.
The FBI director is posting that a suspect is in custody. I would just like clarification. Do you or do you not have a suspected shooter in custody?
We have a person of interest in custody that is being interviewed right now.
That is not George Zinn.
That is not George Zinn. That is correct.
Okay, so they had two people in custody, which George was the old man that they arrested for obstruction of justice, right? And he was booked on that. I'm sure he, by this time, has been released. And a second suspect that people have come in the chat and rumored that has been released, but we have no confirmation of that second person of interest. Now, they haven't said that they have the shooter, they have the weapon, any type of motive of why this transpired. How did this person escape, right? How did this person get from the top of that roof, off that roof, out of the college campus and vanish without a trace? Unbelievable. Security, almost non-existent, right? Almost non-existent. Yes, he may have had security up near his stage because people are saying, he has security up there so nobody rushes him and attack, because that's what they think. Somebody's going to run up, try to fight him, or try to tackle them or something like that. Most people ain't thinking somebody's going to pull out a weapon and start firing. But with no checkpoints or no metal detectors and access to roof.
200-yard shot that hit his jugular. This was a professional hit by the powers above, whoever it may be. He was the one person making a change by bridging the gap via conversation.
Yeah. And I mean, how many people did he make think differently? That's the question. Apparently, too many. Okay, too many is what I would say. Now, I don't know the number, but apparently for somebody out there, it was too many people he may have changed the minds of. Right? Now, if you went there and disagreed with him and you left and you disagreed with him, no big deal. But what people didn't want is people to go there disagreeing with him, and when they leave, agree with him. And that's the hard pill that people were having a time swallowing, is he may be convincing some of these people with intelligent conversation instead of acting a fool. If you can sit there and hold a conversation even when you disagree, it shows your intelligence, right? Because that you can't lower yourself to an angry person's level. You can't get all pissy and because you don't agree. You just have to look at each other and go, man, you're on this page and I'm on that page. And we just maybe even reading from a whole different book. But the thing is, you're all challenging your mind, right? And that's what it's about. If you go into a conversation and you don't both have an open mind, you can't have a great discussion. But if you go into a conversation both with an open mind, you can have a great conversation.
Or looking for another shooter or anybody else related to this.
Yes, we are actively looking for anyone and everyone.
And you know what they say, some people tell the truth, right? And a lot of people out there can't handle the truth, or they don't want to hear it. or they will try to silence the truth. It happens a lot in this world we live in. Anybody that's ever had a voice in our country has been assassinated. Anybody. Don't matter what side you're on. You have a voice. That's why I'm glad I'm an idiot. Nobody wants to get me, right? You get too big and your voice gets too loud, you will be assassinated in this world we live in. Or somebody will try.
Who has any possible information relating to the shooting.
Can you tell us details about the suspect being taken into custody? Where, how long ago?
We cannot at this point, but we will get you that information when we can.
Is there believed to be a second individual involved in the shooting?
At this point, there is no information that would lead us to believe that there is a second person involved.
Can you guys talk about the possible shooter?
Do you want to talk about what we know there? Yeah.
He did so great with his debates. He wouldn't allow his supporters to boo people. He always wanted to hear the opposing side.
I mean, that's what it's about, right? Like I said, it ain't about hating somebody with a different opinion. It's about discussing your opinions and trying to come to a common ground. Okay. And if you're not willing to do that, then you're really not trying to have a discussion. You're trying to push your point or your view onto somebody without listening to what they have to say. Right. So if you're going to debate with somebody, you got to listen to what they say and you got to respect what they say. Not that you have to agree with it, but you have to respect their opinions. Like even when people disagree with me, I respect what you're saying.
I think it was a lucky. I think the target was the head.
I thought the same thing too. But there's no such thing as luck. And the only time luck counts is what? Horseshoes and hand grenades. There was some skill involved. Could you have made that shot? We don't know the wind. We don't know how hard the shot was to make, exactly where the shot came from. We know it came from a rooftop and it came from at least the back of the crowd. And I knew instantly it wasn't a handgun. Okay. I knew instantly that thing rang off like a cannon. So we're talking some type of sniper rifle, 30-06, something big. It was big caliber, and you can tell it was big caliber because the way it hit him, and you watched it snap him back. And time he came back forward, it's sad. He was done. He was done. There was no surviving that. I don't care if you would have had a surgeon on standby right there with the surgeon operating table sitting next to him with the best surgeons in the world. He wasn't going to make it. He just was not going to make it. That hit was fatal. I mean, just no saving him at all. Like I said, you could have the best doctors in the world standing next to him with the operating table ready to go. He would not have survived. And it wasn't luck, because whoever shot that shot to unalive him. And that's exactly what they did. So I don't know if that was a luck or success. I would say it was, in their part, a successful shot. They shot, and we don't know if they went for center mass, right, to make sure they hit their target. So were they aiming for center mass, which the chest, high caliber rifle hit you in the chest, your ass is dead anyway. It's going to blow your back out. And the shot went up and hit him in the neck, or was it a shot?
By cutting the tongue of a man, you do not silence him. Rather, you amplify his message and show the rest of the world you are scarred of what he says.
Amen. A martyr. He becomes a martyr to people on the right. And when it's like cutting the head off a snake. Somebody else is going to take his spot. Somebody else is going to be his voice, and they're going to use what he was saying and showing the world that what kind of people are out there. You're right. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. His voice is going to be amplified. Those videos that had, 5 million views, by next week they'll have 100 million views. Because right now it's just his voice is going to be completely amplified, and you're right there. And what these people don't understand is every action has an opposite and equal reaction. What if somebody listen, there's crazy people on both sides of the fence. What if somebody goes and does something crazy to somebody because, they think they deserve that, right? Because of the action of one crazy person. And next thing you know, there's a community of people out here in our society that's in danger from somebody that's on the other side of the fence, right? Because if these people act crazy, then these people act crazy, and then next thing you know, we just got all kinds of people dying and civilization going to hell in a handbag. I mean, because we have extremists on both sides of the fence. So the extremists on this side of the fence just pissed off the extremists on this side of the fence. And now we don't want to be in a situation where we have a tit for tat. And that's just what I believe may happen, because every action has an opposite and equal reaction. And I don't want to see any more people in our country die or anybody lose their life when they don't deserve to. There's enough people dying from disease and everything else that we don't need to be killing each other. It's horrible.
The only information we have on the suspect, the possible shooter, is taken from closed circuit TV here on campus. We do have that. We're analyzing it, but it is security camera footage, so you can kind of guess what the quality of that is. But we do know dressed in all dark clothing, but we don't have a much better description other than that.
Where do you think the shot came from?
The shot came from here on campus, from a location at a third, potentially from a roof, yes. A longer distance shot from a roof.
So to clarify, with the security camera footage you have and the person of interest that's in custody, does that match up?
That's what we're trying to decipher right now.
So did FBI or DHS have anything on the threat board this morning?
I can't speak.
I'll just say that the investigation is ongoing, and as soon as we have further information, we will be sure to release it.
No, they don't have the person.
Intelligence involvement.
As of now, I can't comment on any of that.
Can you talk a little about the security of the event itself? Who was there security-wise, and what happens on these kind of events?
So my name is Jeff Long. I'm the police chief here at UVU, and I'll tell you right now, we are devastated. We're a small police department. We have a very large campus. We have over 40,000 students, and we love our students. We love our visitors, and we're devastated by what happened today. This is a police chief's nightmare. I'm very.
Yeah, shot was from a roof. It was from a roof. Even if you look at the angle of how he was struck, it was from a distance, and I believe it was from a rooftop. There's actually images of what appears to be somebody crouched down on a roof. Now, they do have this security footage, but listen, it's 2025. And every time security footage comes out, it's like Bigfoot quality.
His pastor said it was a shot strong enough to kill an 800-pound moose. Professional hit, emo, and he said over 1 million of our youth were changed by Charlie.
That's a lot of people, and that's a strong voice. And when you have a voice like that, people want to silence that voice. And he should have took his security a little bit more seriously. I know nobody wants to stand behind a glass or in the Pope mobile, right? But
as a 24-year-old, I felt like he was a very articulated speaker for us young people who are conservative. He is our martyr and our voice, modern day MLK.
Yeah, and like Jack said earlier, I think that's what his name was, something with a J, that his voice will be amplified. I don't think they realized that when they took this man out like that it just added to his message, that a lot of the things he was saying is the violence is real. You know, we seen that today, that the violence in our country needs to stop, and people are over it. I think a lot of people that voted this year wanted the lawlessness to stop in our country. We don't want crime. We want to be safe when we go to the store. We want our kids to be, you know, able to go to the bus stop without drive-bys and robberies. And we want our grandmothers to be able to go shopping and their pocketbook not get snatched. We want to be in a store that don't get robbed. We don't want to defund the police. We want the police to be able to do their jobs. We want to live in a safe world, safe environment. We don't want these drugs on the street. We don't want to see people walking around like zombies. We don't want safe havens for monsters. We don't want that. I mean, there may be people out there that do, but I think the majority has spoken, and people are sick of it. They're sick of it. And we just want to live in a nice environment, in a nice world where our kids can prosper and we can pay our bills. I don't think everybody wants a whole lot. We just want the basics, and people are over it and they're tired of it. And the more these people do these crazy things, the more people are going to stand up and rise against it. And I think they think they're winning the battle like this, but really you're hurting your cause. To me, that's just my opinion on it.
Saddened for the Kirk family. I know his
Dolly,
wife
do you
and
think
parents
they will find
found
shooter
out about
alive?
this. You know,
Do I think they will find the shooter alive? I pray to God they do, right? And I do this for his family. I pray to God for his kids that they get justice, right? Like I said, I didn't agree with everything this man said, even myself. Did he deserve to be hurt for his opinion? Absolutely not. I never want to be hurt for my opinion, and I wouldn't want to see anybody out here that opinions don't line with our opinions to be hurt for your opinions. That's just ignorance. It's just ignorance, and we got to do better as a society. We got to love our brothers and sisters, no matter how it is, right? Like you can't get mad and start cussing each other and screaming, because it's a matter of escalating and de-escalating. De-escalate the situation and just agree to disagree. But
If
don't.
I had kids, I would never let anybody like him talk them.
If I had kids, I would never let anybody like him talk them. Well, there's a certain age that I don't think kids should be worried about politics. Okay, little kids. There's a certain age graphic that he went to, and it was college age kids. And I believe he said things sometimes to cause controversiality, because in his world, that's what's selling. That's what's bringing these people out, is being extreme. Now, if he was just not as extreme, would anybody really care? They care because he is so extreme, and they want to argue with him, or they want to confront him about that. And I think sometimes he pushes it a little far to get that reaction. But some people are not well in the head. Okay, they're not good upstairs, and they don't understand that he's just trying to push the debate. He's trying to get that reaction from you, and people take it so seriously that they plot to hurt him. And we've seen that firsthand today. And it don't get no worse in our country than what we've seen today. As a country, we watched a man be assassinated today. One of the most brutal things you could ever see. We literally, on our social media, almost live, watched the assassination of a young man who was a father today because of his opinion, in the most brutal fashion you could ever imagine. Graphic, heartbreaking, tragic. I mean, there's just so many words that you could put to a situation like that. Images you'll never, ever get out of your mind. I just, today, if I could go back in a time machine, I would have never watched that. I would have never even, I'd have stayed off of social media today. It was that bad.
Obviously, he's away from home. He's here in Utah. They find out by a police officer that visits their home. That's tragic. Nobody wants that. But I can tell you about our venue today. This was an open venue. This was outside. We did have 6 officers working that event. We had probably over 3,000 people that were in attendance. It sat down in kind of a bowl area here on the central campus. We have a waterfall area. And so he was kind of in a lower area. Surrounded by buildings. We had some plainclothes police officers that were in the crowd as well. We train for these things, and you think you have things covered, and these things, unfortunately, they happen. You try to get your bases covered, and unfortunately today we didn't. And because of that, we had this tragic incident. So we did have officers there. We had Charlie Kirk's team. He has a security team that travels with him, and they were here with him when he was shot.
Was the gun recovered?
I'm sorry, see?
Was the weapon recovered?
At this point, I can't disclose that.
Who made the arrest?
There's a question being asked about mass shootings. Was that person apprehended, and do you know who asked that question?
Say the question again. I don't know if I understand what you're saying.
When Charlie Kirk was shot, he was answering a question about mass shootings specifically. Was that person apprehended, and do you know who asked that question?
I do not. We do not have that at this moment.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have time for just one more question, so thank you.
Yeah, a question for the chief as well. Was it your team or Kirk's team or a combination of both that kind of set the security protocol for the event?
So we work together. He has his team, and they do this all over the country. We all know that. This is not uncommon for them. They're very comfortable on campuses, and I was coordinating with his lead security guy, and so yeah, we were working together.
Was this a sharpshooter type shot?
Ladies and gentlemen, those are all the questions that will be answered today. Again, thank you for covering this. We will be updating you as soon as we have additional information through normal channels, working with law enforcement. Again, our deepest condolences to the Kirk family and to the students who were there today. I would just ask everyone everywhere to please pray for their family and to pray for our country. We need it now more than ever. Thank you.
Amen. That's what I would say for everybody is, of course, say a little prayer for his family tonight. Them kids, listen, them kids didn't know how controversial their father was. They looked at him just like he was dead. They didn't look at him like the spokesperson for this or the spokesperson for that. They looked at him like dead. That's our dad. And all these people have got the shock of their life today. Tragedy can strike at any time, anywhere. And thank God that nobody else was hurt. Okay. And it wasn't just, wild firing after the first shot went off and, other shots and people in the crowd wasn't hurt or anything like this. Now, usually when you do something like this, you tend to have a death wish, right? Most people don't walk away from assassinations. Most people don't get away with assassinations. So, do I believe this person will be caught? Absolutely. Now, tonight, because this is such a touchy topic,
I pray no more violence. A lot of conservative young men like me have what seems like no future but a dead end. We need to continue talking. Communication is key.
I agree that violence has never solved anything. Sitting down, coming to a common understanding will work miracles. Okay. But people lashing out at things they don't approve of or don't like never works. Okay. So I don't want to take calls tonight because I don't want people to come in here and make this a big political nightmare for me tonight. And, you know, YouTube one is funny about those things. We're not trying to divide people here. So, you know, I will discuss what some of you guys are talking about in the chat room selectively, okay? Pretty selectively tonight, because we're not trying to make this an argument about political. Now, we can talk about this should have been handled better. Security should have been better. His security detail should have been better. They should have had somebody on the roofs watching out for anything like this. Just, did they drop the ball and think nothing would happen? Did they not take people, when you make that many people angry, right? And he made a lot of people angry. Just as many people that enjoyed his content also hated this man for his content. So, and we know that we're dealing with people in our country that are not stable. Some of them have mental health problems, and you just never know. That's why when I tell people out here that watch me, when you come up to me, you know, be polite, be nice, and I'll be nice to you. Because usually when people first walk up to me, I'm a little sketched out about it, right? Because I've had people come up to me and be great people, awesome, loving, you know, even when I'm out to dinner and stuff like that. And I've had people come up to me and be really like shitty. Like I'm not even a person. Like, hey, you know, I'm a real person, you know, like, you know, and they see something that I say that they don't agree with. So instantly they hate me because they disagree with one of my views. I'm not out here trying to force people to believe the same things that I do. I don't push my beliefs on people. I'm not telling y'all to go to church on Sunday, right? I don't like people to push their beliefs on me. I think everybody has their own journey in life, and you'll come to your own decisions just like I will. And I'm not trying to force you to follow me down a path. One, I like to walk by myself, right? So I like the quietness. So I'm not trying to force my stuff on anybody else. And I don't think debating with people is forcing it on to you. I think it's a healthy discussion, right? So is this going to create more political violence? That's my question. What do y'all think in the chat, right? Let me know. Do you think somebody else is going to act a fool? Because like I said, every action has an equal and opposite reaction. You know, it had a lot to do with the sexuality of these people that are doing these crimes. I'm trying to say it politely.
It's like trying to navigate a mind talking about this. We are all human brothers and sisters. We are not Earth others' enemies. Let's talk this out. Red heart emoji.
Absolutely. And I thank people, thank you for joining up, Batman, subbing up the channel. We're getting close to hitting 81,000. So if you're watching out there or you're tuning into the replay and you haven't liked this video yet, make sure you give this video a like and sub up the channel. Help us hit 81,000. I'm on that road to 100K, and I can't make it without the help of each one of my brothers and sisters, my earthlings, right? Like, that's what, listen, we're all on the same planet. Now, listen, if I'm going to go Ronald Reagan on you, right? I'm going to go full Ronald Reagan. If there was an alien invasion, how fast would everybody come together? Us being enemies with each other would end almost immediately because we would have a common enemy. Right now, we don't have that. So we're fighting amongst each other. But if we had a common enemy to stand up to, we wouldn't be doing that. And the aliens are here. Okay. They're here. Ronald Reagan, he knew, right? Ronald Reagan knew. He said, you know, ain't they already amongst us, right? Ain't we already to that point? I don't think that's exactly what he said, but close. Okay. Close enough. My memory ain't what it used to be. I'm getting old. But basically, what did he say that we needed to bring the world together is an alien invasion. And I ain't talking about illegal aliens. I'm talking about, you know, little outer space green people coming down, and then our little conflicts with each other wouldn't seem that important. Aliens are definitely among us. Yeah, right. And I don't know. We got to remember that a lot of the media is propaganda. It's designed to make us hate each other. Depending on what news channels you watch or the other people watch, they all have an agenda. And it's to divide and to conquer. Right? So that's why I lost a lot. Baby Ann loves Jesus only. Thank you for subbing up. That's why I don't really watch the news too much or believe the news, because I know now, when I was young, I thought the news had to tell you the truth. I honestly did. I thought the news was truthful, that they had to vet their information and that it was real. I didn't know that 5 people controlled every news channel on the planet and that them 5 people all had different agendas. I didn't know that. Right. And as I learned it, I was like, why am I even watching this shit? Because they're telling me what they want me to believe. They're not telling me the truth. And I believe one of the reasons that alternative media on YouTube and other places have been doing so good is because a lot of people have lost faith in the news. Now, I believe the situation's real. I mean, we know this. I ain't saying that this is a fake situation at all. I'm just saying the news will feed you a bunch of fake shit.
It's one giant psyop regardless of the station.
Yeah, because like I said, they have their agenda. They have their narrative they want to push. They have a political side to everything. And that's all major news. And you got to remember, when you watch your local news, they're just a little affiliate of the big news. Okay. So if you watch the big news, the little news is it's a trickle down effect. And it's almost like my boyfriend
BF is 9/11, and Dolly, we all came together there on 9/11.
Yes, it is officially 9/11 on the East Coast. Prayers to all the people that lost their lives in the World Trade Center and all their loved ones. And not to get off subject, but I think every last one of us can remember, well, if you're old enough, where they were at when 9/11 took place, right? I remember I was sitting at my house and I had to go to work, and my baby's mama woke me up because I was oversleeping, and the first plane had already hit the building. And I used to have one of those real big TVs that was like the box, you know what I'm saying? It was like a projection TV, real big. So my baby mama, she woke me up and she's like, a plane just flew into the World Trade Center, right? And I looked up and I still was not all the way awake, but she's telling me, what happened. And I remember I looked at her and said, is this a movie? She's like, no, this is real. And I'm like, damn. So I get up and I walk up to the TV because I'm staying, it's a big TV. So I'm standing in front of it and I'm kind of just, wiping the coals out my eyes. And I'm just standing. And I don't know how long the first plane had struck. But as I'm standing there wiping my eyes, the second plane hit. And I'm watching it live on the news as it strikes the building. I remember I looked at my baby's mom. I said, this ain't no accident. This is a terrorist attack. This is something more to this. This ain't no chance in hell that 2 planes accidentally flew in to this building. And then, of course, the devastation that came after that. Undescribable.
Dolly, I agree with both the left and right on some issues, and I get called horrible names for no reason. The divisiveness needs to stop on both sides.
Brad, I agree with you. And so do I. There's things on the left that I agree with, and there's things on the right that I agree with. And, I feel like I'm trapped up in the middle with you guys, right? Trapped in the middle. I don't know what has to happen to fix that divide, because our country is divided. But there needs to be that voice out there that does do that. Okay. And I would be scared to be that voice, because you may be next if you are that voice, because some people really want that voice out there, and then there's some people that would want to silence that voice. But I agree with you, Brad. There's things on both sides that I agree with, and there's things on both sides that I don't, And to get back onto the 9/11 thing is, I'm standing there and I cannot believe what I'm seeing. And I just knew at this point that this was some type of attack.
Dolly, my birthday is 9/11 today. Sorry, I messed that at last. Chat up.
Well, happy birthday to you, Sharon. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Tragic day to have your birthday, but I'm sure for you it's a happy day. And, but for a lot of people, it's a day of remembrance of all the people. Troy, thank you for subbing up, that we lost in the World Trade Centers. And, we literally seen people jumping out the windows, hanging out the windows. And then, of course, when the building collapsed, I had never seen nothing like that. And I don't think nobody in the world had ever seen anything quite like that. I was just up there not too long ago in New York. And, anytime I get near New York, that's the first thing that comes to mind is that tragic event that took place there. And now a lot of people, they think that was a conspiracy, right? But like I said, I'm not a conspiracy channel. Now, if you catch me in the chat room, I would discuss it with you. But here, I usually don't. I'll mention it, but I don't discuss it, okay? I learned my lesson with the conspiracy stuff when the FBI and the U.S. Marshals showed up to my house. And then I was like, okay, the days of that shit is done, okay? The days when I thought I was going to jail in D.C., I was like, yeah, I think we're going to leave that alone a little bit, okay? So, listen, one people I don't mess with, I'm going to tell you now, is I don't play with the government. All right. I am scared to death of the government. I don't mess with them. I don't say Hillary Clinton 3 times like Beetlejuice. Nothing. Right. I avoid it like the plague. All right. I try to stay as far from that shit as I humanly can. Now I watch. I just don't openly discuss my views for the world. Okay. I don't think anybody cares about my views anyway. But I learned that can cause you a lot of trouble. And it's just easier to avoid that by not saying shit. Okay. And some people, like I said, there's some people don't want that stuff out there. And I don't want to, the thing about conspiracy is this. If these people are as bad as you think they are, and you get it right, let's just say you guessing and you get it right. Do I really want to come up missing? Do I? Do I want to like something bad happen to me if all these conspiracies are true? Because I may stumble across something with my dumb ass, and next thing you know, I'm slipping on a banana peel somewhere. Hell no. Hell no. Y'all can have that. I'll leave it to somebody else and I'll listen to you. Okay. I'll leave that to people that ain't scared of coming up missing. I am. I just, you should feel. I can remember there was times where I wasn't scared of the government. Like, yeah, I think everybody's tripping. And then there became times that where I was like, I don't know if I can really trust what is going on. It's a little scary. And I'd rather weigh in on the odd of caution tend to overstep my boundaries. And, because like I said, a lot of people could go into this 9/11 stuff about did the buildings come down by plane or did something else happen? But see, I'm not going to go all into that. But there's a lot of great channels that do cover stuff like that. It's just not me. All right. Who's going to look for Dolly? Seriously. I don't think y'all would say y'all would look for me, but if I came up missing, just don't send Bullhorn Betty or who else be searching. You can send the Hatfields and McCoys. They all right. They're older. They might find me. Let's see. Who could you send looking for me? Don't send Dog the Bounty Hunter, please. Don't do that. All right. That wouldn't work out good. I'd find you, Dolly. What does IQ have to do with his death? A lot. Right? A lot. I would say his voice. You know, just like Martin Luther King, voice got him killed. John F. Kennedy, his voice got him killed. What was his brother? The other Kennedy that was assassinated too, right? And he gave that speech when Martin Luther King was killed. And still to this day, probably one of the best speeches I ever heard. And that was the speech he did on the back of the 18-wheeler truck when he rode into, I believe it was Brooklyn or Harlem. And he gave the speech from the back of the truck. But like I said, John and Robert, anytime you have a voice in this world, somebody silences it. So like I said, I would never want to be that big to where people would want to hurt me for what I said. Right. And, we've watched these assassinations. Remember, what is it? Jackie Onassis picking Kennedy's part of his skull off the trunk of the car. And then the guy walking up and shooting the other Kennedy. Like, I wouldn't want to have the last name Kennedy either. That's just not a good name to have, right? And then the one died in the plane crash. I mean, that shit seems like they're cursed, right? But to be like in a world 2025 and we're still seeing assassinations, and more, like, what is that? Just with, it's odd. I remember when they tried to assassinate Ronald Reagan. Do y'all remember that? And the security guard, his security jumped in front of it and got shot. Anybody alive for the assassination of Ronald Reagan? I remember that one. I was a little kid though. And it's hard to believe because you would think that, we live in a civilized world and we ain't as barbaric as we once was, and times have changed. There was a lot of, racial divide in our country in those times, and it's not quite as bad now. Some people want to make it bad, right? They really do, but I don't think it's as bad to see these type of things occurring. And so many people think that everybody's going to break out in the fight, and I don't think that's it. I think people are more intelligent than that. There may be some people that be mad at each other in this, and, we may have some other people act out, like I said, because there's extremists on both sides of the fence. I hope that ain't the case, right? I really, truly do hope that ain't the case. There is just too much violence, yes, because people come immune to the violence. Because the news, like, listen, when you turn on the news, is it ever anything good, right? They need a channel that shows nothing but good news. You tune it in, good shit happened today. Everybody's happy and they're telling you good stories. A kid got a double lung transplant, got to pet a giraffe. Just something fucking good to make you feel warm inside. It's never that. You turn on the news, it's bad news, worse news, and even worse news. It's just bad, 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 bad. And you're just so used to the world being bad that you just think that the world is just bad. But I try to look for the good in everything. Now, there wasn't nothing good about today. There ain't nothing good you can find in the tragedy that happened today. But usually there's good things even in the bad that you can go, well, now, at least something came out of that, not in this situation. We don't even have the culprit that did this. The person that's responsible is not even in jail. Maybe. Now, we don't know if they have the weapon. They said they can't talk about the weapon. Maybe they do have the weapon. But I know whatever it was, it sounded like a cannon went off, and it is a high caliber weapon. Now, I don't think this was a AR or anything like that, because they're a lot quieter and it's pretty high caliber. but I don't think it's a different sound. This almost sounded like a big, powerful ass weapon. And whoever was holding that weapon, I don't believe was a kid. I don't think so at all. And, you know, of course, they used the chaos to escape, right? Because everybody's running. And when everybody's running, the cops don't know who to grab, right? Because everybody's scrambling and trying to get away. So when you running to get away, they don't think nothing of it. They think you're running to get away from the shooting, right? So most likely whoever fired those shots probably left a weapon. So that's how they know, yeah, it was from a rooftop. Yeah, we can't talk about the gun because they may have that. But is there any fingerprints on the weapon? Have they caught anybody that may have gunpowder residue on them? Is the second person that they got, is this somebody that may have posted something? Because like I said, I've seen posts that insinuated something bad was going to happen. Now, was that a lucky guess or did they know something? And if you're posting this publicly, okay, let me tell you this. The FBI don't F around. They know everything. Like, I don't know how they be knowing everything on social media unless they kind of, you know, they got access to everybody's social media accounts, which I believe they do. That's just my opinion. And I can give you a prime example of that. I was in DC on a certain day in January filming for my YouTube channel. A year later, I'm sitting here early in the morning eating a bowl of Fruit Loops. Okay. That's what I was doing. I was eating Fruit Loops. And I hear a knock at the door. And I've shared this story before, but I'll share it with you guys. I hear a knock at the door. So I go answer the door. Now I got cameras. This is one of the reasons I installed cameras too. And I open the door and there is an FBI agent at my front door. And the FBI agent said, "Hi, I'm Agent so-and-so with the FBI. Are you Mr. Williams?" And I said, "Yeah." And he grabs my hand, right? He's like, "Step out here and let me talk to you." Right? So I step outside the door onto the porch, and in the yard is a U.S. Marshal. Okay. So now I got the FBI and the U.S. Marshal standing in my front yard. And I remember I was like, "Who are you?" and he repeated it. I heard him the first time, but in the fear of it, right? Because listen, you can act like you badass all you want. When the FBI grabs your ass, there's some fear that goes through you. Because I was like, "Oh shit," right? So did you pee your pants? No, but I will tell you, I was fucking scared. Okay, I ain't gonna act all big and tough, right? I was scared shitless. I was like, "Oh shit, I'm about to take a ride to DC," right? So he repeats who he is. And he says, "I have a question. Where was you January this certain day?" Y'all know what day it is, right? And, you know, I ain't no reason to lie. I said, "You know, I was in Washington, D.C. And they was like, "Well, why was you in Washington, D.C.? And I was like, "Well, you know, I run a YouTube channel. I got a channel." And he was like, "Yeah, I understand you got a channel." And he read out the names on even my dummy channels, right? Because I got some dummy channels that I don't use. They're just like backups. He knew every channel that I had. I don't know if he knew the IP and he was able to trace the IPs to the YouTube channels, but he knew the name of them, right? He knew the name of every channel I had, even the backup channels. I was thinking, damn, I don't even think I signed my name to those channels. Matter of fact, I gave one of the channels away. One of the channels was Truth Be Told. Now Buddha Mike runs that channel. I gave that channel away. I was like, "Oh, here, that was my conspiracy channel," right? I gave that shit away. I was like, "Hey man, you want a YouTube channel? It's monetized. They got subscribers. They got, you know, you got already got members." And he was like, "Yeah," I gave the channel away after that, right? But he knew all the channels. And he asked me, he said, "Where did you stay in DC and how did you get there?" Right? So I explained to him, "Hey, I didn't, you know, I was driving a new car and I didn't want to get the car messed up. So I stayed in Alexandria at the very beginning of the subway, and I parked the car at the hotel, and I jumped the subway to there, right? And he said, well, when you got there, you didn't see all the no trespassing signs and fences and everything to keep you out of that area. And then right then, I just knew I was going to jail. I just knew I was going to jail. I said, nah, man, you know why? Because I got there late. And I did. I truly did. I overslept, right? So I initially went to go to see Trump speak, and I was going to videotape it for YouTube, right? So I overslept. And when I jumped on the train, people on the train were telling me, hey, Trump's is over and everybody's going to the Capitol building. Okay. So I took the train to the Capitol building. When I got there, I never seen the fight with the, like y'all seen on TV. Okay. I missed the ride where they rioted with the guards that were out front. By the time I got there, the guards were standing on top of the building. All right. And people were acting a fool. But when I walked up, I got off the subway. There was a DC Metro police standing at the road, and there was traffic. And he called me across, directing traffic to there. And by that time, they had then tore down all the signs. There was no trespassing signs. So I'm telling the FBI this. I was like, no, I didn't see none of that shit. They were using the fence to climb the building when I got there, right? There wasn't no fence. I walked straight up. As a matter of fact, the police helped me across the street. And I said, listen, everything I did at the building is on video. The videos are online. And he's like, I know, I watched the videos. And I'm just thinking, then what the hell didn't you know I didn't go in the building? You know, I didn't have no political stance on it, that I was just there to videotape it. And he goes, why would somebody call the FBI on you? And I was like, what? He was like, why would repeated it. He said, why would somebody call the FBI? Somebody called in on me, reported me, right? I looked at the FBI dude, and the U.S. Marshal guy was standing in the yard still. He never came up on the porch. I said, have you ever heard of a troll? And he was like, yeah. I was like, well, maybe trolls did that. He called in and said I did something I didn't do, but everything I did is on video, and it's on the internet for the whole world to see. I didn't go up in no building. I didn't trespass anywhere. You can watch me on camera, walk up. There's no signs that say don't come here. It's a city building. You know, I stayed on city property. I didn't break anything. I didn't bust anything. I didn't fight with no police. I didn't talk to no police. I didn't argue with no police. I was just there videotaping to show it to the world, because I knew some crazy shit was going to happen. I just knew. I had that vibe, right? I'm a YouTuber. I knew some shit was going to pop off, and I wanted to be there to record it. So he switches to like, listen, you need to get a VPN, you know, so people can't track your location online, you know, because we're getting calls into our office that you were involved in. So then he asked me, was I involved in any? This is where I started to get a little brave, because I was starting to realize, hey, I might not be going to jail. Especially when he starts saying you need to protect yourself on the internet, you need to get the VPN and stuff like that. He said, are you a member of any of these groups? Like, you know, them one guys got in trouble. I don't even want to mention their name here, right? I don't even want to mention their name, because I'm not affiliated with none of those people. I'm truly not. Like I told him, I said, listen, man, I don't care who the president is. I truly don't. You know, it don't change my life. None. Ain't nothing different than when taxes are still high. Shit, gas is still $4 a gallon. I don't care who the president is. And he said, are you a member of any of these groups? I looked at him, and I swear I said this to him. This is the only brave thing I said. I said, man, I don't even got a YMCA card. You know, I ain't a member of no groups. I'm not affiliated with nobody. I don't even got a gym membership. Right. And he was like, all right. And I was like, are y'all doing this to everybody? And he said, yeah. They had been following up on everybody that was at that place the whole year. And it was just my number got pulled that day. And when they left, right, I just knew I was taking a trip to DC and going to jail. I just knew it. I was just thinking, damn, I am getting locked up here today. And when they left, I came back inside. My heart was just pounding. I thought I was going to die. I ain't even lie. I was shaking like a guy, like I had just seen a ghost, right? I was just like, damn. And you know how long some of them people went to jail for in DC. Some of them just now getting out. So, but like I said, I didn't go there for that anyway. I just went there to film. But since then, I don't play around with none of that stuff anymore, because you could be being joking on the internet, and next thing you know, you got the feds at your house, U.S. Marshals, and they don't place. Like, my whole point of that is when the feds come, they know everything. They know everything, like everything. You'd be like, how the hell did they know that? Right? They knew everything. And the reason, he knew what hotel I was at, he knew I was on the train, right? And I'm thinking, the reason he asked me the questions, I believe, is to see if I would lie. And I was just truthful. I said, this is where I stayed. This is the train I was on. This is how I got there. This is who I was with. This is the videos that I shot. And these are my channels. And I think he only asked me questions that he already knew the answers to. And like I said, I was sketched for days after that, right? Paranoia really set in. I'm peeking out the window and shit. Is the FBI out there? Is that a U.S. Marshal parked in the driveway? Like, so the feds ain't no joke. Okay. It ain't like the local police. They don't even put off the same vibe. Okay. It's a total different vibe. Like, if it had been the local cops, I'd have walked out there and been like, man, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Local jail ain't shit. Nah, we talking fed shit. We talking about you getting locked up, no bond. You ain't getting out. You going to DC. I don't know if y'all been to DC. DC is terrible. Okay. That is a terrible place. You do not want to go to jail in DC. Not as no country ass white boy. Okay. I'm just going to say that. You don't want to be DOLLY in DC jail. Okay. You just don't want that to happen. Right. So that was my biggest fear. I was like, oh man, this better not happen. So prayers. I know we got a little squirrel, but I wanted to share that story with y'all, a little DOLLY time. Prayers to his family, okay, to his kids and to his wife. And let's pray to God that they catch the people that are responsible. And I'm confident once the FBI is involved, they're going to get you. They know some shit. I don't know if they got Black Knight satellites, Batman tells on you. I don't know, right? But I know they good at what they do. Okay, I know that firsthand. I was like, holy shit, right? I was just looking around like, DOLLY, yeah, I want a little squirrel. But we know what happened today was tragedy. I can only repeat it so many times, and it is what it is. So, like I said, say a prayers for him. If anything breaks in the case, of course, I will come live with you guys tonight. I'm going to be up. I got some stuff to do in the studio. I've been making most of our merch in my dining room, right? I print the t-shirts and make all my soaps and lotions, and I do everything in a small area. So I actually got a big storage unit today. And I've been moving a lot of my supplies into the storage unit, which is not too far from my house. So, and it's somewhere I got 24-hour access to. So it don't take up so much room in my house. So now as I need to print shirts, I just go to the storage unit, grab my shirts, bring them back to the house, print them. I mean, it's a little inconvenient, but it clears up a lot of room in my house and then in my studio. Okay. I got room to move around. So all day today, I've been moving a lot of my supplies to the storage place, and I'm still packing up and getting everything right, so I have room to move around my damn house. So I got to take care of some of that stuff. But if anything breaks, there's an arrest made, or anything shocking news comes out in the middle of the night, I will come back live with you. Or if I decide to discuss something else, because There's a lot of true crime stuff going on. There's a lot of stuff in the Manuel Haro case. So I may come back in a little while if I get everything taken care of that I need to take care of in the next hour. But most likely I'll start binge watching Shameless, and I won't see y'all tomorrow afternoon. Okay. But listen, prayers, and this shit has to stop. Okay. It has to stop. Oh, and I want to show y'all one thing for everybody before I get ready to get out of here. The Dolly hats, you can still get them, right? There's still some in stock. We got a brand new one. We have the camo Dolly Vision. We have the black and white Dolly Vision. We have the Turtle Island hat, black and white. Now, the purple one is my Mardi Gras Sugar Skull hat. That's the brand new one. Of course, we have the pink and black Dolly Vision hat. And then we have, of course, the Dolly Vision with flowers. The one with the flowers is our best seller. But I think this purple one with the sugar skulls, everybody seemed to like it so far. But that's a limited supply up until Halloween. And then we won't have this one anymore. It's like our Halloween drop one right here is the sugar skull. So if you haven't yet, get your orders in. I printed a ton of hats last night. So, and PJ shipped out a ton of them today. Some of you guys that ordered have already got your hats. Make sure you post pictures. And of course, we have t-shirts, soaps, lotions, body washes, hoodies, you name it. It's all at buydollysoap.com. All right, say it with me, class. All right, buydollysoap.com. And it ain't just soap. Like I said, there's lotions, body washes, t-shirts, hoodies, hats, soap accessories. We sell it all. Okay. We even got an 81 Buick up there for sale. Low miles, one owner. Get it while it's hot. All right. So with that said, just remember this. If nobody else loves you, Dolly does. Peace, guys. Hey, and love each other. All right. Love each other. We're all humans. All right. We're all humans.